third race weekend of the BMW IBSF Women's Bobsleigh World Cup, and after 2 weeks in Innsbruck, it is a very different nature track that they find themselves with in Altenberg in Germany. This former East German test facility is one of the toughest on the planet, exactly what it was designed to be. And as ever, John Morgan, it's producing exciting racing. Well, this track is very tricky. We had one crash in the very first sled down this morning. And John, the same tripwires are waiting for everybody in Heat 2.
Yeah, a lot of these women athletes that are competing today, 3 of them crashed in yesterday's Monobob competition where the sleds come right back up, and obviously they're healthy enough to compete. And Alana Myers-Taylor and Lolo Jones have the start record here from 2018. The start's not as important here as it is on most tracks, and no skidding allowed up here in these straightaways. You know, the ride that awaits you here is very much an eye-opener. Can't hit the left-hand wall here out of 5. 3-quarter combination, you know, you gotta be clean. 8, and now this big left or right curve, 9. Long straightaway, you gotta be perfect here. Boy, there's some crashes we saw here in the first run also. The Kreisel, what a challenge. 360-degree whip around curve 11, 12. Not kind, and this 13 has been problematic for many in the first run. The straightaway, you go uphill. 15, you can't make any mistakes. You're still accelerating here into the finish. Through and down to some hellacious moment. Martin, I don't know if there's more, you know, Whistler, Lake Placid, there's not a more challenging track for the athletes than this one here in Altenburg.
It's pretty tough, isn't it? And look at the top group. 1600s cover the top 4. That's likely to be where the medals come from. Alana Myers-Taylor, former winner on this track, in 5th. And the 2 Chinese athletes, Wai Mingming and Ying Qing, in 6th and 7th. 2 really strong runs from them. Nadezhda Segova, Melanie Hassler, ahead of Anastasia Makarova. And the Olympic champion, Mariama Yamanka, struggling in the first heat, a long way down in 13th. So 21 sleds started the first heat. The crash, although she completed the run for Martina Fonteneve and her brakewoman Mara Morel, they are not, well, they don't make the cut anyway, but I'd be surprised if any coach would send them down a second time. It was a long run upside down on the ice, and something that none of these athletes ever want to see. And this is one of those tracks, John, you know, I always say in motor racing, there are certain tracks where before you leave the pit lane, you just pull the buckles a little extra tight on the racing harness. Here, the same thing. When you're on the start line, I think you just take that extra little moment to focus. This is not a track that anyone takes on lightly, no matter how many times they've been down it.
Well, Martin, there's a lot of quiet up top of the track compared to like in Innsbruck last week. Everybody's feeling good about life. This is a track, a little bit like Darlington for NASCAR, a track they call too tough to tame.
Yep.
It catches everybody's attention. Doesn't matter if you're the best or the worst.
Getting ready to get our second heat underway here in the women's bobsleigh in Altenburg. Gard Antiuti and Tania Vincenzo both competed here in the World Championships in 2020 as drivers. Both crashed out, but they had a safe enough ride down as they have combined forces in this Olympic year. 6:09 start in the first heat, John Morgan 6:09 in the second.
Yeah, pretty clean up top here. And, you know, the Italians are still trying to build their... Oh, look at that mistake. I mean, that's horrific for your time. Still trying to build their program back. Gerda Weissensteiner won a bronze medal for Italy at the 2006 Torino Olympic Games. That was suspect. And they haven't had anybody since. So these 2 are both pilots of the Rover. Maybe just let her come back up in this curve.
Yeah.
Just can't. Oh, it is.
Here we go.
Is it up? And she stays it up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, that's exactly a repeat of what happened in the first heat to Martina Fonteneve. Rolled off the end of the Kreisel, got spat back up in 14, but then the sled immediately crashed again in 15. So they are down, and they have completed the run, and fortunately it looks without any injuries.
Martin, 20th place. Doesn't have a DNF. You know, there's importance to that for World Cup, Olympic qualification.
Yep, absolutely so.
Hey, they're both obviously nice. Surprised there's not a doctor there checking them out. But up too high, then she comes up too high here again. Down, centrifugal force brings her back up on the outlet. And not the way you want to look at the next curve. And she's almost ducking her helmet here and knowing what's going to happen. She ducks, she knows. Instinct, or she's done that before. Martin, I've been watching pictures like this on this track since my arrival in 1987, the first race. Look at the way it comes back up. This is spectacular photos. And she has enough presence of mind to get a hold of the D-rings and all of that and steer it to the bottom. She gets my award for bravery right there, Martin.
Yeah. Well, anybody who races here, I think, gets that right away. Well, there she is. They are down and done. Yeah, there's Tania Vicencino, the brake woman, and Giada Andreotti, her driver.
I think, Martin, little irony, they go to the winner's box. They are the leaders as we speak.
They are the leaders. Indeed so. First sled down. Well, as in the first heat, first sled down just sends that little shiver note of caution through everybody else.
Heat, there was a crash in the first sled down.
Yeah.
Wow. So that, you know, we told that story in the Martin, being up top in one of the changing rooms where everybody, you know, puts their uniforms on. When the first sled crashes, all of a sudden things get quiet. People look around at each other, you know, and, you know, there's a little trepidation and look how quiet it is. Everybody's walking around. It's, you know, it's almost like a who's next.
Yes.
I've been in those changing rooms, Martin, especially on the old track in Lake Placid.
There's Giada, the driver, and there's Tania, her brake woman. So they are okay. And again, there are a number of athletes who will race in a Burns vest, and particularly on this track, that's not a bad idea. I do say occasionally, you know, I think it is time that they were made mandatory, because it seems almost facetious to say that ice burns. It's not the temperature of the ice, it's the body, the skin in a thin latex protective suit, not protective suit, just skidding along the ice at 60, 70 miles an hour. That heat from that friction, that's what causes the burns. You get some very nasty burns. Well, that's what you hold on to. See the little handles, sort of stick at little bars sticking out from the long tubes that run down. That's what the brake woman holds on to. The driver hangs on to the D-rings, braces her feet against the foot braces at the front of the cowl, and then her backside is against the little sort of half-moon semi-bucket seat back. It basically just, you know, just something to press against. And boy,
the steering in the sleds, that technology has been molded in time. There's not a lot of change in the way they steer these sleds in the last 40 years. Steering wheels in the 50s and 60s, still in the United States. My father was still driving a steering wheel in the mid-60s, and we started transferring in the U.S. into the ropes in the late 60s, early 70s. But that steering's been around for 5, 6, 7 decades.
Yeah. Well, and that's one of the delights of this, is that, you know, if you watch Usain Bolt running the 100 meters, a century ago, 100 meters was still 100 meters. The spikes have advanced a little bit, but the basic mechanics is a human body. And the deal here is that these would be drivable and recognizable for somebody who competed in the Olympics in 28, 48, 68, 88. Yes, the speed would be different. Yes, the tracks would be wildly more, well, faster, smoother. But the basics are all still there. And I guess it's like a car, you know, the basics of a car, 3 pedals and a steering wheel, haven't changed much in over a century. Once they kind of got rid of Henry Ford's bizarre arrangements in the Model T of all sorts of pedals that did all sorts of things, and came up with a formula that worked, nobody's reinvented that wheel much, and that's the same with bobsled. The wheel is how it is. All right,
So
at the top of the track, Ashley Werner and Kira Rodingus. Well, this is their third World Cup start. Ashley
still haven't cleared
started
the
out as a
track.
brake woman. No, they're just checking the ice and making sure that there are no major gouges. Now, here we go. Bahn is fry for Ashley Werner and Kira Rodingus. 19th place after the first heat, 400s behind Russia's Lyubov Chernik. So everybody has a target, whether it's a personal target, personal best, catch the sled in front, beat a teammate. And part of the deal for Australia is that they have 2 sleds out scoring points to try and get qualified for the games.
It's going to be tough. Can't see them qualifying 2, Martin. Definitely
No.
1. Ashley's new at driving, and you know, she's 29 years old from Sydney. She's a management consultant. You know, she's made good strides.
Yeah.
50 rides probably in March in Lake Placid last year, and was here also in Lake Placid early season training.
Yeah, she spent the summer in Koenigsee as well, so training up with all the athletes down there in Bavaria.
Pretty good exit there.
Yeah. Now her target, her target is not Gyad Andriuti, is to try and overhaul Lyubov Chernik, and who knows, maybe even Anne van Nieuwenhuis a 10th ahead of her. Let's see what they did at the line.
Good line,
Yeah.
5:57, 67.
4/10 better.
Yeah, that's a big deal. 4/10 better is a big deal. And she likes it. No, she knows it. Look,
Yeah.
listen.
Well, if you look on social media, you'll see her introducing a bit of freestyle skateboarding into women's monobob yesterday here, exiting down the straight with the front runners up on the wall.
The wall.
Front side nose grind, or blunt, as I've been corrected by the kids who know these things. But much better second heat, feeling the confidence despite that track delay.
Look at her eyes above the cow, and Martin, that was a great run. She knows it.
Yeah. See Britain's Mika Moore down there helping with the sleds. Top of the track then, Lyubov Chernik and Yulia Egoshenko. 18th after the first of the 2 heats, only 400s in hand over the Aussies. This would be a big scalp for Ashley Werner to overturn Chernik.
Well, she doesn't match the start time that Werner had, 500, so that's why it's red numbers now, but she's got way more experience, this driver here.
Yeah.
Werner was at the bottom of the leader's box. Needs to get clean there, not bad. Martin, she's the only athlete in the field, I think I brought this up in the first time she started, in skeleton. You don't see that. You know, sometimes you see luge. Most athletes, if they start skeleton, they stay there.
They tend to go the opposite way as well. You tend to get ex-bobsledders who convert to skeleton. Chernik, a quarter of a second back. She's got better speed than the Aussie sled.
Well, yeah,
this
but
is
Werner
her 21st World Cup as well.
Ashley Werner was on it.
Yeah, and Lyubov did the 2 World Championships here as well in the last 2 seasons. Ashley Werner turns her over by a quarter of a second.
Yeah.
That is a great result for the Australians. In fact, she was 2,700s better than Chernik on that run.
You know, and you got to give the Russian credit. She was faster too. 900's better, but not as fast as the Australians were in that second run.
Yeah. Didn't get as much cleaned up.
Entry into the sled by the brakeman. I don't know if I like that technique. You know, she's in.
I'm sure when you see it from the side, she's kind of coming down forward into the sled, and so that energy helps to accelerate it. But yeah,
I don't like that.
Lyubov Chernik
just
drops the spot. What about Anne van Nieuwenhuis and Sarah Ertz? Anne was absolutely furious with herself after the first heat to be down in 17th place, a second off. Let's see what she can produce here. This has been the scene of one of her 2 best ever World Cup race results. 4th place finish back here in 2017 rather. She needs a good second heat.
Well, the start, I mean, she's the 589s, you know, it's not bad. But
well, that's the same as the Russian sled, Lubov-Chernik and Yulia Egershenko.
But you can't make a mistake here, Martin, to overcome Werner on that little tap.
A little better.
Got only 300s to play with, and that's because of the start deficiency of 500. But she's got it in green numbers, and she should, Martin. She's very experienced. As you said, she's got great results on this track in her career.
Yeah. She can drive, and you know, this is one of the tracks where the driver makes the bigger difference, and that's a big hit in 12.
On the crossover.
Yeah.
She's great in 7, but she's pulled away now, Martin. This is what she should have done in the first run. She'll be the leader. A couple of mistakes. She ducks her head. 65. She's 30. Look at that. 3,200's better.
That was only 200s quicker than the Aussies. That, again, was littered with mistakes for Anne van Nieuwenhuis. Yeah, she's not happy with that at all.
She would have been 10 sleds better with that time in the first run.
Yeah, yeah.
7 sleds better.
Well, as the mist clears from the morning, it does look like we saw in yesterday's Monobob race. In the second heat, the track was much slicker. Well, again, down the straight, 2 taps, sends us sideways as well.
Martin, in the women's skeleton event, we saw the track record get broke 5 times.
Yeah. In
the second run, and the time this race is being staged is slower to the women's skeleton race.
Yeah. Yeah, that. Yeah, it's better, but is it enough? Well, it's not enough to go a long way up the order. Is it enough to overhaul Misha McNeil, who was 800s ahead of her? Montel Douglas, the sprinter from South London. Lewisham's fastest bobsledder. She'll now murder me for saying she's not from Lewisham. It's very tribal, the villages in South London.
Well, Misha's had some results on this track, including leading here at the end of one of the heats a couple of years ago before she fell to like 5th, I think. Ooh, mistake
there. 4th at the end. That was the last World Cup race, 2019, and this is not a fully informed Misha McNeil.
Very sloppy up top. She's gonna fall a couple places, Martin. And boy, these are not good lines here in the Kreisel either.
No. Lower speed of the sleds that didn't crash. Only Giada Andriuti was slower than that.
She could fall 3 spots.
Drop. Yeah.
The 4th. Probably gonna drop the 4th.
Yeah. I think Ashley Werner and Lubov-Chernik are both moving up. She needed a top 14 result today and is not going to get that. So Anne van Nieuwenhuis moves up, Ashley Werner moves up, Lubov-Chernik goes back to where she was, essentially. And Mish needs to get better, quicker.
Well, it's good for Ashley Werner from Australia to move up like that.
Yeah.
Mistakes. Crushes the right-hand wall, her left. Watch what it does to the sled here.
Yeah.
You know, you want to get through there without tapping that wall, but half of the field will tap that wall in some sorts. And then here, she's still struggling. 2 curves later, still making mistakes. Look at the skid here. Martin, that's just a parachute.
Yeah.
She knows
She's not feeling great, and that isn't going to make her feel much better either. Next up, Cynthia Appiah for Canada, with Dawn Richardson-Wilson behind her. Anne van Nieuwenhuis, the leader. Appiah, medalist in yesterday's women's monobob race. She led the field after the first heat, so there's no doubt she also had the fastest starts. This woman can start a sled. We knew that when she was behind Kaylee Humphries and the like. She can also drive a sled.
Brakeman, Dawn Richardson from Edmonton. Good athlete, 100, 200-meter sprinter, plays a little rugby on the side. But the driver here, Martin, she had gold medal after the, in the second heat. She was the leader coming down. She fell to silver medal second, but it was her first ever World Cup medal as a driver. She's got many as a brakeman. She is, to me, the athlete that's come up the fastest in the last 1 year of competition. That start she has in Monobob, she is a threat.
Ooh,
she's still
hard
loose
hit
here.
11-12. Yep.
Yeah, she's pretty loose still driving this sled.
Yeah.
She's much better.
Got a real handle on the Monobob sled. This one is just a bit more of a handful for her. 57.74 by 100.
Curl, that 100th of a second loss.
Yes. Well, think how many ties we'd have in this sport if we only timed it to the 10th. You wouldn't be able to hand out enough medals, would you? Or enough room on the
100th is fine.
Yeah, 100th is fine. 1000th, we don't get three-way ties like we did last week.
So up, this is normal. Maybe down too far, up again, maybe too high, down, and then the danger is coming up too high in the outlet. Centrifugal force bringing you up too high here. And she doesn't do too bad. Back runners, you know, the runners are a little off the ice, but corrects pretty well at 11-12. Oh, she gets on the crossover at 12 too early, and this causes a skid into 13, and got a little rough and loose down here, Martin. Especially here. Boy.
But holds on to a top 15 finish. So next up is Kati Bile and Jennifer Onosanya. The Austrians were the World Cup champions last year. Let's see what they can produce.
Hasn't had a real good start to the season, Martin, on her home track last week, where she's pretty proficient, 10th and 6th. Not so good in any of the monobob competitions, including yesterday, and she's too experienced of a driver to be back in this position, Martin. You know, she got 7th in the World Championships here last year, so, you know, a little bit of a slump here early part of the season for this pilot.
Yeah. 2 top 10 World Championships results, 9th in 2020, 7th last year, as you say, and this is a long way from where she'd hoped to be at this stage of the Olympic quad.
Fall 3 places. She could get beat by the Australian.
Again,
yeah,
she's not hitting a lot of things. She's just not got speed on the sled.
Not doing it. Oh, she hiked, boy, good comeback on the bottom.
Yeah.
She was 2,300ths back. She picked up a 10, 1,500ths on the bottom. She's a great driver, but just seems to be, maybe she just wants to peak in February, but this isn't the athlete we saw win the World Cup title last year with consistent finish at every track. She had a 10th in St. Moritz last year, otherwise 5, 4, 2, 3, 3, 5. Martin, just not the same athlete.
No, you want to be having those results peaking the year of the games, not the season prior. Let's go home. Really? Okay, you're not going to Winterberg. Okay, next up, Mariama Yamanka, the Olympic champion, with Kira Lipperheider behind her. That's Kira closest to the camera. 4th in the Worlds 2 years ago here, 6th in last year's World Championships. She has been a winner on this track. She won the last World Cup race in 2019. And right now, the form Mariama is in, that seems like a long while ago, John.
Martin, a strange season. I mean, we talked about the Austrian, Catherine Briel, not having any results at all this season. This athlete here was 2nd in the Olympic test over there at the Yangqing Sliding Center in China. And, you know, she's talented. And for her to do what she's doing, and she won the monobob test, right? She won the monobob event in China. And Martin, the first heat, she looked like a rookie driving the sled. This is much better lined.
Yeah, the key is not what you're doing in Altenburg in December, it's what you're doing in Beijing in February. And everything that the team and the drivers and the sled builders, FES, will be aiming for will be February in Beijing. But that's why she's back in the teams. Yeah.
Martin, she's going to be the leader. She did the same thing in the second run as she did in the first run. 57.51. Yeah, it's 2,800s better, but, you know, if she would have put those 2 runs, that run there together, she would have been way up. 7.51, she would have been up there in the top 10.
That run should have been 2 or 3 tenths of a second quicker, and the first heat should have been a good half second quicker. But it's
These
just...
lines, this is a little late here, but not bad. The first run, she was sloppy up top. This is perfect line here.
It's a little
late. She got away with it. But here, Martin, watch how much of the curve she takes. Look how much of this curve she takes.
Yeah. Same mistake as in the first heat.
And then the mistake here. Martin, you put the split screen of the first heat and the second heat. Yeah. This is exactly what she did both times in the exit of 14.
Well, 11 might be safer, but it's not any easier to get it right. So the Olympic champion was behind rookie Melissa Lotholtz of Canada. She's had a bronze and 2 wins on this track as a brakewoman for Kaylee Humphries. 6th World Cup start for her, her first here, and she lies in 12th position.
Sarah had the 8th best start in the first run, a 72 here, 80 in the first run. Wow, big improvement. Martin, she had a long face on her when she got out of the sled too in the first run, but
well, she said her seat broke. So if she's moving around in the sled, trying to steer with the D-rings, she's also actually pulling on those steering cables to hold herself in position.
Not bad. 9th and 11th in the first 2 events in Innsbruck. Crashed out in the Monobob race yesterday. She got to the finish line.
Pulling away. Now the gap comes down, but she was cleaner there out of 11 and 12.
That's going to be trouble.
Same as in the first heat. It's going to be close with Yamanka. It's going to be very close with Yamanka. And she's 100th behind. Well, so Mariama Yamanka beat a woman in her 3rd World Cup race over 2 heats on a German track by a total of 0.03 of a second.
Wow.
That's not a, it's not February, but that's a German Olympic champion on a German track. And this is a woman in her 3rd World Cup race.
Well, the German Olympic champion is obviously in a slump.
Yeah.
These lines here, watch, she gets in too high here, and the mistake she makes is there in that curve, and then in 14 she's too late, and then the result of being too late 100 meters up the track is this right here. So the mistakes just compound, and you're getting a problem up in 11, 12, carries over. Watch the back end of the sled here. Oh, not too bad, but she bangs that wall there, and needless to say, Martin, there was at least 100th of a second there.
Yeah. Well, she didn't oversteer. She let it go a couple of times. Looks like she's got a bit of a bleeding nose. Next up, Anastasia Makarova with Olga Shishimarova, her brakewoman. And they were second out this morning, so they had a 5-minute hold as they came to the ice because of that crash for Switzerland's Martina Fontenev. They should be a little less nervy this time. Let's see what she's got in her second run.
591, she had an 88 in the first run. Let's see how she gets out of the Omega curve here. Is she going to hit the wall here on the right? No, she's going to
pretty smooth at the top of the track.
The first big gremlin on the track is right the exit of the Omega, but there's a few others down here too, like right here, but very smooth. 600's back, 4th best speed, a big mistake there in the entrance. Smooth exit.
There's only 100th of a second between the top 2 sleds right now, so you either beat them both or drop down to 3rd, probably. That's clean, 2100's back. She should close a little, but she's not going to get them. No. She'll be ahead of Cynthia Appia, and it is 3rd at the line. Only 900's behind Yamanka. And that's because she was clean out of 14, not looking out the side window.
Yeah,
well, she buries herself in the sled. Oh, disappointed just to lose those places.
18th, both heats are raced as an Innsbruck, Martin, so this is a much better performance for her.
Yeah.
She'll finish no worse than 14th, maybe better. This mistake didn't help on the entrance to Kreisel. Here, remember, look at the snow on the track down there. Look at that. I'm sure the crew doesn't. That's because somebody hit the wall so hard they broke off some ice chips.
Well, she was hoping to move up into the top 10, John. She was only 200 out of the top 10, but she'll be no worse than 13th That equals her World Cup best result so far, which was in St. Moritz last January. So Mariama Yamanka leads from Melissa Lottholtz, and there are 10 to go. Melanie Hassler next up with Nadia Pasternak behind her. This is the sled that Anastasia Makarova was hoping to catch. They only have 500s in hand over Mariama Yamanka.
And Ms. Hassler here had a rough trip with the first run, Martin. She's coming on. She's 6th in World Cup points with 6th and 7th finishes in Innsbruck, and she immediately bangs the wall in the entrance of 4. That throws away her start time advantage. That 10's probably going to come down. Yeah, that's that whole problem she had, the exit of 5. And this is a good line. Another rough ride. She's lost all her time now, Martin. She's going to drop a number of spots.
She could well be behind Anastasia Makarova. And in fact, right now, she's going to drop behind Cynthia Appiah as well. So this will see her down in 5th place at the line. Melanie Hassler, 4th place, 100 ahead of Appiah. Well, she's disappointed, I'm sure, to drop out of the top 10. Top 12 would be a Swiss Olympic Association qualifying run. A top 8 for the Swiss sliding, but she has in fact qualified both criteria in the previous races because monobob and women's bobsleigh races count. She's had a good season so far.
There's a tap there, Martin. The back end of the sled comes up, and then she goes into the Omega curve late here, and she's scrambling to get out, and you can't hit the right-hand wall. She hits it. And this is the result. When you're trying to accelerate, that's not a good way to do it. And then these lines, way up, way down. And then, Martin, when you have that type of line through there, you have to steer hard to get off. And when you steer hard to get off, that's friction, and she'll live for another day.
Brakewoman Nadia picks her up and dusts her down. Well, they have dropped down to 4th place with 9 to go. This is Russia's Nadezhda Sergeva with Elena Mamedova behind her. Sergeva in her 40th World Cup race, her 4th here. The last 3 have been 9th, 8th, 7th. She's 9th after the first heat.
Pretty much where she normally is, Martin. You know, this is what she does. She's consistent. 9th in World Cup points. Coming into the event, and she doesn't get out of there perfectly. Yesterday in Monobob, she was 5th. Yeah, so she can drive.
Well, and also she can start. We see when the drivers are on their own in the sleds where they rank against their peers, and she is one of the fastest push-starting drivers.
Yeah, consistent, former heptathlete. Big lead here, Mark.
Oh, good speed as well. Now, how far can she move up the order?
Wow.
600s will be 1 place, 700s 2 places. This could be a top 4 or 5 run for Nadezhda Sergeva at the line, 57.26. That is a really, really good run.
300 better than her first run, Mark. That would have put her in the top 5.
Yes.
Right? That would have put her 50.26. Yeah, that would have put her in 5th in the first run.
That is the 5th fastest run of the competition so far. So, as the track evolves, she has got a handle on it nice and early and drives it well. And that's the experience counting. Her 40th World Cup race, her 4th on this track in World Cup alone. There's a lot of walls sitting in the track there.
She's on the wrong side of that straightaway, but clean exit. Didn't do much steering on the bottom.
No, good run.
Yeah, really good run.
Could be in the leader's box a few more sleds. Let's see what Andrea Greco of Romania has got with Katerina Vick behind her. 12th best at the start, drove themselves into 8th place. So let's see if the eyes and hands will help them move further up the order. They were 300s behind the next sled, Yingqing of China. That is definitely a bridgeable gap on any track, and especially here.
Much better performance for her this weekend than the first 2 events in Innsbruck, 17th and 14th. And yesterday in the Monobob race, 7th, Martin. So we're starting to see some results from the tallest female athlete in the field at the front seat.
Pretty clean out of Omega into 5.
She's lost a lot of time though, Martin.
Yep.
16 back, third
grows.
best speed. She can get that 16 out of the bottom part of the track, but she needs quiet lines like that. What does she do here? Nice. Second best speed in front of us. Nice,
Yeah.
down to 15. She's gonna run out of track, Martin. She's got it going, but she's gonna run out of track.
And Sergeva was clean at the bottom as well, so she comes back to 1200s back, 57.44 now. Yeah, that might be enough to move her up a spot as well. She and Sergeva could move up together.
Hey, she's got a good weekend here, Martin.
Yeah, anytime you
9th
finish
here.
ahead of the Olympic champion on home ice, you're doing a pretty decent job.
Or the Olympic champions had a bad day. I think the
Well,
Olympic
that
champions
too.
had a bad day.
Yeah.
I hate to keep beating her up, but you know.
Well, again, if she wins gold in February, she won't care what happened in Altenburg in December.
Look at the lines. Little drift, little tap. Speed,
Good
look at the
speed,
difference in
yeah.
speed. Greco had better speed. Sergeva had the better start by 700ths. That's probably why she, well, no, she drove a better line.
Yep. So we get to the first of our 2 Chinese sleds, both in the top 7. Very good first heats for Ying Qing and Du Juani, her brakewoman. The first of the 2, they're in 7th place, only 400s behind their teammates, both shooting for a top 6 finish here.
13th and 16th in the first 2 events, Martin. Yesterday, 11th in the women's monobob, but you said it, 2 Chinese sleds in the top 10. They don't have good starts before they can drive.
Yeah.
So you got to say, what are they going to do on the track that they've had 500 trips on, and all the other European and American, North American teams have only had 42 on as they approach the Olympics.
Well, I think what we'll say is they still won't have the best starts. They probably won't even start in the top 10, but that's only going to be part of the deal. Yes, she can.
Boy, she's way back at the start, but boy, she's coming on.
Coming back, 1900s away.
Got to be perfect
Not sure she's going to hang on.
No, she's going to drop.
Greco was too good. She's going to be behind Andrea Greco. She's going to drop down to 3rd. It's still a top 10 result. 200s behind Greco. That got close.
No problem.
Still a great result. Telling you.
Should be no worse than mine.
The coaching staff for China, they got to be happy with these young female athletes who are bringing it down the most difficult, one of the most difficult tracks on the planet. We heard Francisco Friedrich talk about that track in China. It's nothing like this track, nothing like any other track. And he says there's much challenges on that track in 3 or 4 different places, curves 1, 2, 3, 6, 13. Quite a animated interview with Friedrich yesterday about the China track.
Well, there's Ying. She is China's best driver. Has already done 3 World Championships, and they weren't here last year. And here's her teammate, Wai Mingming. Well, between the 2 sleds, just 400ths of a second. And this competition between teammates helps drive the whole machine along, doesn't it? If you're on your own, then you don't have an equal benchmark. If there's 2 of you in the same sleds and the same setup, then you know where you're going. 582 getaway, 700s quicker. That all adds to the advantage.
Sure does. And she got beat up by her teammate in Innsbruck. She was 20th and 19th. Her teammate was up the leaderboard in 13th and 16th. So, you know, it's the race within a race to become the best of your country.
And the other thing, John, is we come back to Altenburg in 2 weeks. So if she does well here today, if she does better here today, when they come back in 2 weeks, she'll feel that she's got the beating of Ying as well.
Well, her teammate's 1800ths off the lead. She's now 1200ths off the lead, which is about equal to her teammate. So, you know, the race within a race. Yes, she's going for the medals.
Really close.
But I don't think she's going to beat 20, 2500ths back. She's going to fall behind her teammate.
Third or fourth,
No,
third at the line. Oh,
teammate.
dead heat.
Pierre, she ties her teammate. So Wai still has the #1 designation in China. She falls a couple spots. Hey, Sarah Davis moved up 3 spots now.
Yep.
But hey, the Chinese are going to have 2 sleds in the top 10, Martin. That's a first.
Yes, it is,
right?
I think so. Well, Ying has had 2 8th places as her best ever World Cup results, and Wai, her best result previously was a 9th. And they are currently tied for 3rd with 5 sleds to go, so they will be
the home country,
8th place.
The home country has medaled at every Olympics since the Salt Lake Games in 2002. You're going to definitely see a Chinese medal in skeleton. I don't know about bobsled, but boy, they are certainly improving.
Yes, they are. 5 to go here in Altenburg. Najesta Sergeva, never a medalist on this track, is the leader with 5 sleds to go. Alana Myers-Taylor, the winner here, with Sherelle Garrett back in the 14-15 season. And she was a silver medalist in 16-17, took bronze in 18-19.
64, that's 300s better. Brakeman, Sylvia Hoffman from Arlington, Texas. Ooh, mistake now. Can she get out of here without hitting the wall? Yeah, pretty good. Lana's been losing a lot of time.
Yeah, that slap early on takes real speed out of the sled.
Yeah, and then in Innsbruck last week, she was the leader at the end of the first run, I think, or no, she was like 3rd or 4th, but she lost all sorts of time on the bottom part of the track at Innsbruck. Here, she's got 3,800s down to 2,700s now. Clean here. She's got to think about moving up the ladder. Those are good lines, but look, Martin, she's losing all the time again. She's going to be single digits here at the bottom if she's lucky.
2,200s ahead of Sergeva, down to 800s, 57.40. 300 slower than her first heats, but Sergeva had a big improvement. Obviously, Sergeva's first run was not as good. So Alana leads with 4 to go.
That gives her no worse than 5. And she was 7th and 5th in the first 2 races in Innsbruck. She won the Monobob races in Innsbruck both times, but yesterday she had a step away, let her teammate win, and she finished 6th. That tap right there, that was, there's a lot of time right there.
Up in the air.
Yeah, 3 to 4. Can't make mistakes like that. Boy, here, a lot of steering here to get out of 4. The only lady in the field with a child, Martin.
Look at that helmet of Sylvia Hoffman. I'm loving the art on that. 4 to go then. Bronze medalists in the World Championships 2 years ago. Silver medalists in the last World Cup race. These 2 Canadians, Christine De Bruyne and Kristen Buchnovsky, can they take a medal here? Well, the answer is yes, they can. 1,600s off the lead. But the question is, what do they get?
Well, to start, they give up a little bit, but this young athlete here who's got 3rd in both races, the first 2 races, and Martin, she had a terrible World Championships here last year, finished in 16th, very perplexed, and she got that off her back yesterday with a good finish in Monobob. 1,200s lead, best speed. She's going to start pulling away now, Martin. She was really good in the first heat out of the bottom part of the track. 11, 17, here she goes. Probably going to get it out to 2,500s. Getting that leader's box, say, catch me if you can.
3 sleds still to come, 2 Germans and a 5-time winner on this track, but that's a great shout for the medals.
That's a big run.
Yeah, that is a big run.
Slower than her first heat.
Yeah, by 2/10.
Fastest time of the run. Sarah Davis still has the fastest time of the run.
Wow, she does. That's what she said, gave her 57.26. Wow, they sound happy.
Really good drive. I mean, she's 3rd in World Cup points from the first 2 events in Innsbruck. Not with great starts, but obviously Christina De Bruyne is starting to really get the eyes and hands synced up.
Well, she's peaking at the perfect time, isn't she? This is the season you want to really hit the absolute perfect form. And that's a good run. Is it good enough for a medal? 3 to go. And Kim Kilicki with 2 silver medals this season, Lara Nolte with 2 golds, and Kaylee Humphries, a 5-time winner on this track, are the remaining 3 sleds. So who of these 4 deserving crews gets one of the medals? Kim Kilicki and Kristen Strack finished silver in the World Championships last year. Kim was silver the year before with Kira Lipperheider. She should have a medal here.
Well, she crashed out in the Monobob race yesterday. Had a chance to win a medal, and she finished. Very competitive athlete, Martin. And, you know, she's got the eyes and hands. Every time you look at a leaderboard, she's on it. 1200s. Can't make any mistakes. De Bruin at the bottom had a fast line on the bottom part of the track. That's not good. Levitt's best speed. If I'm Christina De Bruin, I'm liking this at the bottom.
1100s will be single digits now, and she's still hitting things. Hits at 12 really hard.
Now
12 best speed. It's not a medal this time for Kim Kilicki. She's going to drop out of the medals. Christine De Bruin is in the leaders box for another sled. Surely Kilicki's not got it at the line. She doesn't.
Bronze medal for the 3rd event in a row for Christina De Bruin.
At least.
At least. Good point.
Well, Kim Kilicki only had 500s over Christine De Bruin. Comes across the line 1500s back. That is a net loss of 0.2 of a second. And you saw all the mistakes, John. It wasn't perplexing where the speed went. You could hear it leaving the sled every time she hit the wall. Here.
They had the same exact starts, but she crushed the wall there. You wonder where the time is.
Snuck through here.
Look there, you know, there's the first mistake. This wasn't clean either, Martin. Late, and she can't let it come straight. Bang, bang, bang. You wonder why she had the 11th best speed into the Kreisel? Well, then down here, tough to recover now. You know, and
I mean, look at how far that bounces her out of the seat. You know, she's bounced up the driver 4 or 5 inches by that one take-on. 2 to go in Altenburg, a 5-time winner on this track, including 2 World Championships in the last 2 years. Kaylee Humphries with new wizard brakewoman Keisha Love behind her, 5.73 getaway.
Yeah, the Keisha Love's UNLV track and field sprinter, first year in the sport. They found something here.
Yes, they have.
Haley, well, she won the Monobob race yesterday. She also got a lot of miles this week, flying back and forth to San Diego in between training to get a U.S. citizenship. And she needs perfect lines down here to put herself in a position to catch Erin Nolte, who's won every race this year.
Not the best speed. She only did 1 day of training as well, 3 training runs, and that was split between 1 in this sled and 2 in the Monobob. So she's had 1 training run before the competition, 3,200 up. It's another great run from Kaylee Humphries. Wow. Again, not as quick as the first heat, but is that enough to take the gold medal?
Yep. I don't know. She did okay. I agree. That was okay. There's a couple mistakes. She's the only one in the field with goggles. Listen.
Last time she was in a race here, John, and didn't take gold. Alana Myers-Taylor won. She was Alana Myers then, so pre-marriage. Elfia Willemsen was second for Belgium. Kaylee was bronze with Melissa Lotholtz. That was back in 2014.
It's a long time ago. Here's the skid. There's her. She didn't do that in the first run, Martin. And yesterday in the Monobob, she was perfect both runs. No worse than silver. Pretty good weekend for the newest American citizen.
So Laura Nolte, Deborah Levy. Laura Nolte, bronze medalist in the World Championships here in February of this year. There you can see the little seat back, really highlighted because hers is bright lurid pink. The leader, by 0.02 of a second in the first heat. She needs a 57.12 or better to win this.
Big start, best start of the competition. Martin, all she's done is won the first race in Yangcheng. She won the first race in Innsbruck. She won the second race in Innsbruck. She's on her way to make it 4 for 4. Victory is in her hands right now. All of
14th World Cup race. She's never been off the podium here in 5 outings in bobsleds. She has 13 World Cup medals out of 14 starts. 12 out of 13
2000s lead. She's 300 meters away from a 4th straight gold. Is coming down a little bit. 9th best speed there. Watch out.
Sideways.
Got to be straight here.
It's going to be close.
I don't think she's going to do it.
It's going to be really close. Katie Humphries and Lauren Alter. Humphries is going to win it. She does by 400s.
For the second day in a row, Humphries comes from behind. This is the first defeat of the season for Nova. And you know, her attitude, silver medals, the first loser. Very competitive athlete. She won't be happy with this. Having the best start, having on her home track. Look at
from Germany.
Well, it's racing. You can't win every day.
Especially on this track.
Yeah.
Right here, Martin, this is where it started. The skid into 13. That makes the compound the mistake into 14. And this is where the German coaches closed their eyes because they knew what was going to happen when she was skidding like this.
Yeah, it sucks the speed out of this sled, but Lauren Alter takes a silver medal. She'll remain our World Cup points leader after 3 of the 8 races. Yeah.
Good weekend for Kaylee Humphries. Becomes a U.S. citizen, wins 2 events. And Martin, what she do last year on this track? She won both events.
Yeah. So she's had 3 training runs and 3 race runs here. When we come back to Altenburg in 2 weeks' time, she'll have 2 full training days. And this is one of her absolute favourite places on the planet to come racing sleds, and it shows. The only time she hasn't won in the last 7 seasons was the 2019 season. She was not competing at all. And since 2014, Kaylee Humphries has been unbeatable on this track.
Martin, when she was winning on this track before, she also had the best start times. Now she has the 6th best start time, and she's winning with her eyes and hands. We saw that in the Monobob race yesterday. Here, a little bit of mishap, 13 to 14, but did well enough to get to the bottom and catch me if you can, and they couldn't.
400s, the margin of victory over Lauren Alter. Christine de Bruyn on the podium for 3rd place ahead of Kim Kielicki, Alana Myers-Taylor and Nadezhda Sergeeva coming up the order from her 8th place in the first heat. Good run from the Russian. And the 2 Chinese sleds tied for 8th place ahead of the reigning Olympic champion. A good day for both Chinese sliders. Melissa Rotholz, Cynthia Appiah doing well, and Van Nieuwenhuis recovered a little from her first heat. And Ashley Werner had a good 2nd run as well. Giada Andriucci and Tania Vicentino first let out. They had a crash, came back up and finished the run. And they'll be pretty glad, I think, to head to Winterberg, a slightly gentler environment. But for Kaylee Humphries, Monobob victory, women's bobsleigh victory in the same weekend. And the good news for her is she can come back and try and do it all again in 2 weeks' time.
Martin,
this time,
she also had a passport victory this week, too. So.
Yeah. This time the commute will be a few less air miles and a lot more relaxing. Lauren Alter still the points leader from Kim Kielicki and Christine de Bruyn. Kaylee Humphries up on the rails, passing Alana Myers-Taylor for 4th. As Mariama Yamanka slips to 6th place and Nadezhda Sergeeva moves up to 7th. We head next week with women's bobsleigh to Winterberg. So we stay in Germany and then return here in 2 weeks' time. And then the final race will be here in Altenburg before the Christmas-New Year break. But we are not done for the day. There is more action to come. 4-man bobsleigh starts at 1400 local, 1300 GMT, 0800 Eastern. For the IBSF TV crew and John Morgan, I'm Martin Haven saying thank you for joining us. We'll see you for the big dogs in a couple of hours.
Team aus dem ersten Grund.
Land geht aber nicht. Die waren nach den Überschwemmungen im vergangenen Sommer, vor allen Dingen im oberen Teil, total zerstört. Die Ausmaße sind immer noch so verheerend, dass es viele auch immer noch tragen.
Oh, hey.
Fix my hair.
Yeah, I know. Can I fix
Thanks
my
for that.
hair?
Yeah.
Oh, wrong side. Ah, no.
Can you just cut off the top of her head and I'll stand lower?
One second here. Is this like live right now too?
Yeah, totally at like 3 a.m.
Gonna use this, huh?
Oh yeah. I guess it won't be live. That's true. Okay, I'm ready.
Yes, we're ready. Okay, second. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Christine. So you're having a very good start to this World Cup season. So what's the key to this success?
Well, a big part is Bouge. It's really good to have her around again. And also our teammate Janine, she's the spare for the team, but she's a huge part of our team. And that's been really helpful. Also, Rush was around this year. Last year he wasn't able to be around my coach because of COVID, and he had to be around his family. But yeah, so having all of like my team back has really made it a success.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
your team, of course, is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the last time you were here during the World Championships, it didn't went
Yeah.
very well. So what did you took from that experience to this track?
Basically, I told myself I'm never going to put myself back in that position again. And I don't want to go back there. So it's just learning from it, getting stronger, getting healthier, making sure the equipment's running, making sure I'm driving well, and just really, making sure I'm never there again.
Yeah, of
I'm
course.
really sorry, may I?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'm really proud of Christine this week because she came 16th and 16th on this track last year where she was expected to do so well. It was really difficult mentally. And this year was stressful because she really wanted to turn that around. And I'm just really proud of her for dealing with that pressure and coming back and performing so well.
Well, very good job. Of course, we are on the road to the Olympics, of course.
Yeah.
So what are the areas in your race that need improvements?
We were just talking about this. We are doing everything we can. We are the fittest we've been. Our equipment's on point. We've searched out everything we can. And if always challenging for a podium is where we're going to sit, then that we have to be happy with that. But obviously we're hungry to climb higher on the podium.
Yeah. So congratulations on a great weekend and see you next time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching. Hi, family and friends. Mom and Dad.
Okay.
Hallo zusammen. Grüßt euch. Licht und Schatten gegenüber, ne? Ja. Hi. Ja, auf jeden Fall, auf jeden Fall. Kannst du immer sein.